Good morning and welcome to Live in a Greenhouse on YouTube. If you're new here, this channel is about my adventure to design, build, and then live in the first greenhouse enclosed tiny home in the United States. Last time, the installer started erecting the frame and attached the glazing to the long south side wall and a couple pieces on the north wall. The weather forecast was calling for a warming trend. Unfortunately, the weather forecast was wrong. We start this time with a rare event, an overnight snowfall that covered the ground with a few inches. Let's see what progress Billy, Raul, and Damien can make this week. Woke up to unexpected snow and was sure the greenhouse installers would not be here today. I was happy to be wrong about that. Billy needed to move the lift to the west end for standing up post today. Fortunately, the ground is frozen, so there wasn't too much trouble getting it up the ramp. The gable end posts were too long and heavy to stand up without a lift during the concrete pour, so Damien welded brackets to each post so they could be bolted to the concrete pad. Pretty treacherous carrying that freezing cold pole across the snow-covered, uneven ground. Fortunately, there weren't any mishaps. Once the post was in position, they walked it to vertical. Matt was also back today to finish cleaning up concrete slag before the installer set the east gable post, and he couldn't get a backhoe in there. While Raul and Damien held the post in place, Billy got into the lift to attach the top of the post to the frame. Then Raul drilled the holes and persuaded each of the 4 bolts into place. Billy needed to move the lift back to the east side to set those posts, but there isn't room to move a big machine on my property, so he drove it around the block to the driveway on the east side. In the meantime, Damien and Raul worked on the frame. Then it was time to set the 4 posts on the east gable end, following the same process they did on the west gable end. Then Billy and Raul moved on to the roof. attaching more of the ridge vent frame. Damien and then Raul worked on preparing to attach more panels on the north side wall. These aluminum vertical strips hold the edge of each panel. They carefully measure for the position of each of the vertical strips and then the position of each screw that attach the panels to the frame so they're evenly spaced. Angle brackets tie the roof trusses to the posts for rigidity and as an additional roof tie-down. The panels extend below ground, so Raul dug the trench, difficult in frozen ground. To prepare each panel, the protective film was removed from one side, then tape was applied to each open end. Then a foam gasket to the top edge. And then walk to where it would be installed. Easier said than done for these long, floppy panels over uneven ground. Even standing the panels up in place could be a challenge. The edge with the foam gasket fit inside the top rail. 4 screws were put into each panel at each framing rail. Onto the last east gable end post. replacing the string line to ensure its correct position. Billy moved on to the gable end framing with the goal to attach the door by the end of day. It was a little challenging to position the door so that it was centered on the stairways that will be coming down through the retaining wall, and that the bottom of the door was at the correct height once the concrete slab is poured in the courtyard area between the retaining wall and the door. Apparently, there are missing pieces, two of which are the motors for the ridge fence. We have the controller, just no motors for it to control. I'm going to call the manufacturer today. Fortunately, the greenhouse manufacturer has all the parts in stock and will ship today, and we should have them in a few days. Although we didn't get the door installed today, it was a very productive week framing and getting ready next week when the missing parts arrive. Please like and subscribe and come back next time when it's full steam ahead on the glazing.